You don't have to be a chemistry major in order to test the chemistry of your pool water. You just need to know what to test for and how to properly test your water. The key elements of balanced water are pH, alkalinity, and calcium hardness. The balancing process begins with a simple step of collecting a water sample. To get an accurate reading, lower your sample tube into the water about the depth of 12-16 inches. Avoid taking the sample next to any return fittings or chemical dispensers. First, we want to test for pH. pH is a measurement of how acidic or basic your pool water is, and one of the foundations of proper pool chemistry. pH has a range of 0 to 14, but for pool chemistry, we want to keep it between 7.2 and 7.6. Acidic water with low pH not only stings the eyes and nose, it also strips the body of its natural oils, which is why your skin will feel dry and itchy after you get out of the pool. Acidic pool water can also corrode everything from pumps to ladders, diving board supports, as well as heaters. Low pH can even etch or erode the plaster in gunite pools. Conversely, if your pH is high or too basic, it makes your chlorine less effective. In that case, you'll be spending too much money on chlorine. High pH water can also cause murky water. Again, recommended range for pH 7.2 to 7.6. Next, we test for alkalinity, which is a measure of how much alkaline material is in the water. When your total alkalinity is low, it makes the water aggressive and causes rapid fluctuations in pH. When it's high, it causes cloudiness and makes the pH difficult to adjust. The recommended range for alkalinity is 80 to 120 parts per million. Final test, calcium hardness. All pool surfaces contain a lot of cement. If calcium is too low, it tries to balance itself by drawing calcium from the surrounding pool surfaces. That results in erosion, etching, and pitting of the grout, plaster, pebble, and concrete surfaces in the pool. If the calcium is too high, it will come out of the water and stick to your plaster finish, which is called scale. Very ugly. With calcium hardness, it's important to remember that it's a lot easier to raise it than to lower it. So when adding calcium, be careful to do so in increments. The ideal range for calcium hardness is 200 to 400 parts per million. Now let's talk about chlorine. There are two different measurements for chlorine levels in your pool: free available chlorine and combined chlorine. Free chlorine is the amount of chlorine that's readily available to kill germs and algae and keep the water disinfected and safe. Combined chlorine, also known as chloramines, is what's left over after chlorine's done its job of sanitizing and oxidizing. Chloramines can cause skin, eye, mucous membrane irritation and are responsible for that unpleasant strong chlorine smell. When the combined chlorine level is too high, it's time to shock the pool. Shocking or oxidizing the water is the practical way to remove chloramines and ensure proper free chlorine level is maintained. Generally, your pool should be shocked at least once a week. For heavily used pools and spas, you might need to shock more often. The recommended chlorine level is 1 to 3 parts per million. There are other tests you may run on occasion, such as for phosphates and cyanuric acid. These are covered in the document available for download on the page below.